Hi, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thanks for joining me. I've done a video on 10 perfect designer fragrances. These days, designers can get a little pricey, so if you're looking to build the perfect lineup on a budget, here are 10 cheap fragrances everyone should own. Not all fragrances have to cost an arm and a leg. There are some amazing scents I'm going to mention in this video that cost as little as £13. So for all you frag heads who want to smell great without breaking the bank, here we go with a few recommendations. First one is from Zara. We all know that Zara offer some very affordable fragrances, and this is one of their best from the Tobacco collection. Rich, warm, addictive. Notes are honey, coconut, tobacco, and creamy sandalwood. Does what it says on the tin because it is very addictive. People are just gonna want to stay close to you and keep smelling this fragrance. It's a very smooth, quite sensual scent, perfect for autumn and winter when you're wrapped up in a cozy jumper, or even on a date night if you want to give yourself an advantage by smelling good enough to eat or smoke. Full retail on this baby from Zara's website or in store is £17.99. You can buy it as a duo with the other in the Tobacco collection, which is Tobacco Dark Intense exclusive. I think that set is £25.99. I remember picking this up for cheaper than that. I think it was on sale in a store for about £12, so do look out for price reductions. Performance is okay. It's definitely more of an intimate scent, which is why it works well in those intimate situations like going out for a meal or going on a date. It's not a massive beast in its projection, but it's fairly respectable. Super cheap, smells way more expensive than it costs. Here is another amazing tobacco cheapie from Ardal Zafran. This is Tobacco Intense. Tobacco, woods, patchouli, tonka bean, cherry, and dried fruit. Yum. This is a delicious smelling fragrance, fruity accords blended in with rich tobacco and woods. I also get what smells like a boozy, warming rum accord. Imagine sweet cherry pipe tobacco blended in with a Christmas pudding that has been drizzled and soaked in white rum sauce. That's what this smells like to me. Unbelievable how high quality this smells for the price. You can get this for £14 delivered on eBay. Wow. This is a perfect winter scent, and if you celebrate Christmas, a strong contender for that all-important Christmas Day scent. Next up is not just one of my favourite cheap gourmand fragrances, but one of my favourite gourmands, full stop. From Louis Cardin, Sacred. Caramel, vanilla, chocolate, whipped cream, and spices. Those notes read like ingredients in a Gordon Ramsay dessert recipe, and just like one of Gordon's desserts, this smells so rich, indulgent, and luxury. Pretty big smell on this. This one performs really well, so everyone around you is going to pick up on how good you smell. Another banger for autumn and winter. This just smells so dark and rich and yummy. I've smelled fragrances that compare to the quality of this that cost hundreds of pounds, but you can grab Sacred for just £27. For that price, I think it's worth every penny. For a similar price, you can get an equally as strong, if not maybe a little bit stronger fragrance that is even more sophisticated. From Bentley, it's For Men Intense. Leather, spices, incense, and rum. I know this looks like I've barely worn this fragrance, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't really worn it that much because it's for very specific occasions. This is not an everyday wear fragrance. There's more to it than that. It's more complex. It's more of a statement fragrance, but I do still wear it from time to time, I promise. If I turn the bottle that way, you can see the level a bit better in there. Also, when I do wear it, I do not need to spray much of this fragrance because it is strong. Reminds me a little bit of Duro, which is one of my favorite fragrances from Nasamato with its leather and its dry woody spiciness. Duro though costs £120 for a little 30ml bottle. This one costs £26 for 100ml. Absolute steal. Bear in mind with this one, it is quite intense. Unlike a lot of fragrances that claim to be intense, this one actually is. It's pretty complex, so it might not be for everyone, but I think this is an amazing fragrance and certainly makes a bold statement. The very first cheapie I bought was this little banger from Ardal Zafran, Oud 24 Hours. May as well take oud out of the name of this because it's a bit misleading. It's not very oudy at all to me. You get mainly fruit and chocolate. This is a take on Tom Ford's Black Orchid, and I've got to say, a pretty good one too. Despite it being marketed to men, it's obviously a unisex fragrance, perhaps not quite as rich as Black Orchid, but for some, that might make this one even more wearable. This is pretty sexy stuff. We're talking intimate occasions, dining out, dates, nights out. It's at the ridiculous price of £13 on eBay or Amazon. For that price, worth a blind buy. If you don't like it, throw it in the wife's stocking for a Chrissy present.
If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description.
We're going a little gentleman old school with this fragrance because it's a splash from Taylor's of Old Bond Street Sandalwood Cologne. Not just a cologne, a luxury cologne. This is a traditional barbershop style with its lavender, herbs and creamy sandalwood. It's got a nice fresh spiciness and also some warming woods. Think of high-class London tailors and barbershops. Think of a sophisticated, gentlemanly smell. Think of Colin Firth in Kingsman. Perfect if you want a lovely classic style scent that doesn't smell dated. This is selling in various places, but I got mine from Amazon for a whopping £26.99. When you smell this next fragrance, you would not think this costs just £15. From Lattafa, it's Ragar Wood Intense. It's very woody and very intense, so its name is very accurate. Oud, Gaiac wood, cedarwood, sandalwood, cashmere wood, all the wood. Whilst the woods are indeed intense, it's the softer, sweeter notes of caramel, sugar and vanilla that really balance things out. What you get is a dark, woody, deliciously sweet scent with lots of power. Comes in a half-decent bottle, slaps for autumn and winter, cheap as chips, a cheap fragrance you should own. Here is a designer fragrance that smells so good that luxury brand Creed copied it and then sold it for 10 times as much. Mont Blanc Individuel. Fruity, fresh, clean, powdery and creamy is how I would describe this cheapy banger. One of the best casual everyday fragrances money can buy. It's got a sort of clean, fresh laundry appeal, and who doesn't like that sort of smell? It's the kind of fragrance that you just can't go wrong with because it is so incredibly versatile. Any time of year, any occasion, this just works. Also, let's not forget, this was created by one of the most famous master perfumers in the world, Pierre Bourdon. Given that you can pick this up for under £30, this is a cheap fragrance everyone should own. I cannot make a video about cheap fragrances and not mention Arma, arguably the king of cheap fragrances, and probably the best of the bunch for me is Milestone. We get salty marine notes, fruit, musks, and sandalwood. Probably one of the best marine sea salt fragrances I have. It's blended so smoothly with the fruits and the creamy sandalwood, exquisite. Of course, Arma aren't really responsible for this masterpiece. Credit for that has to go to Creed because this is an imitation of Millesime Imperial. The thing is, many people say this smells more like Millesime Imperial when it was originally released, that this smells stronger and richer than current formulations of the Creed. And I've got to agree, this has decent performance. This smells rich, it's got depth. No problems with the performance or the quality of this fragrance. You could, of course, argue that clones are bad, that it's a form of stealing, but when these luxury brands are giving with one hand and taking away with the other, it's no wonder that companies like Arma are stepping in to plug that gap. In many respects, Arma seem to have done a pretty good job of elevating themselves above just being known as a clone house. They've become our saviour, our hero, because they are offering us something that we were once robbed of. Kind of like the Robin Hood of the fragrance world, I suppose. Take from the rich, give to the poor, and the poor are very glad to be able to pick this up for around £30 from Notino, from All Beauty, from Amazon. It's even been spotted in Sainsbury's. 30 quid for this? Rude not to. Last on the list, and I'm finishing with a big one, from Lattafa. This is Maison Alhambra Toscano Leather. Leather, raspberry, jasmine, amber and woods. Not that you'd know it from the name or the bottle design, but this smells remarkably similar to Tom Ford's Tuscan leather. They actually did a pretty good job with this. If I'm going to be really picky, it perhaps doesn't quite have the same depth or potency as the Tom Ford, but in the air, I would easily mistake this for Tuscan leather. The thing that baffles me about this fragrance is how Lattafa can produce such a similar looking product. Often when clones are made and they smell very similar, they do not go all out and also copy the presentation. But I think it's safe to say that Lattafa are sailing pretty close to the wind here. I adore Tuscan leather, so naturally I adore Toscano leather. The price, though, is ridiculous at £14 delivered. It really makes you wonder how much of a markup these luxury brands are putting on their fragrances, because this smells phenomenal for not a lot of money. There are my recommendations for must-have, essential, cheap fragrances if you're looking to build the perfect lineup. I've realized in putting this video together, I don't have that many fresh fragrances, so if you can recommend some of your favorite fresh cheapies. I know Nautica Voyage often comes in on the cheapie lists. I don't actually own that fragrance yet. Maybe I'll grab that in the future, but drop some recommendations down in the comments. If you're an absolute cheapskate, I hope you found this video useful. I hope that you liked it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.